Basically, what we're doing is shedding some light on the sewage spills during Hurricane Lane.
Well, we're right here in front of the sewage plant down Keaukaha, and all of our stuff comes down this way, right? But the last few days we had all this rain, all this flooding, and there's been a brown water advisory. I didn't even know after living here for 14 years what a brown water advisory was. And now we had beautiful days on Saturday and Sunday for the Labor Day weekend. All our keiki, some of my students from YK High have been down here swimming for the past beautiful days, not knowing they were swimming in sewage, in actual polluted waters. I mean, the county or whoever's supposed to do this is just falling through the cracks and no one's posting signs. It's ridiculous. Don't tell me, oh, it's Labor Day weekend, you cannot do your job. I was correcting papers all weekend. I'm a teacher. I don't get paid for that. We need to do our jobs when it needs to be done, not at our convenience because it's a holiday.
Keaukaha Action Network, we've been working on this particular issue for years. Signs, why aren't they posting them in the places where people can see and they're visible? This is black water. Black water is raw sewage. So when they have a spill, they'll have a notice someplace online or on their website that says partially treated, but this time it was raw sewage, not treated at all. And so my question to Civil Defense at the very beginning was, are they going to put some signs out? Because this is raw sewage. And then I called the Department of Environmental Manager to find out if he knew how many gallons went into our ocean. Because you have 3 outfalls that spilled all at one time. Yeah. So it wasn't until maybe a week later that we found out from the Star Advertiser that the Department of Environmental Manager actually explained how much was emitted through the outfalls. And so a total of 9 million raw sewage untreated gallons. But here at Keaukaha, where our children swim, this is it's a recreational hole. Our community here in Keaukaha Hawaiian Homes, our children walk to the beach daily. And not to have a sign visible, they're going to swim. And we've had several problems with people now sharing their diagnosis after contracting some kind of skin bacteria. And so staff, MRSA, so now I have at least 10 accounts of people now feeling a little, sure about themselves, sharing their symptoms, their diagnosis, so that we could at least find out what's going on. First of all, simple procedures. If you're going to have raw sewage, you should have signs. But we begged them for signs, and till today, after Hurricane Lane, nothing.
Nobody's posting signs, and we had our rep, Chris Todd, posting his own signs. We had husband of my friend from the Women's March posting, her husband come down and post his own signs. But how are people supposed to believe those signs? It really should be official from the government so people actually believe it, because they want to go swimming, of course. And then what about the tourists? What, they're going to go home sick now and they're never going to come back to Hawaii? It's not good.
Thank you to some of our citizens who decided to make their own, little piece of paper. We have one right there before you leave. Go take a shot of Chris Todd, House of Rep Chris Todd's handmade sign. It was his way of helping, because he went and called the county to find out what's going to happen. And he said, this is what he said before the Labor Day weekend, was that they had them ready to go and that they were going to put it out. There are no signs anywhere. And it's ridiculous. Yeah. To me, it's just shame on the county, for not deciding to do this, because the whole Labor Day weekend, there were people swimming in this pond. 5.9 million gallons of raw sewage untreated in Puhi Bay.
It's just disgusting, we all contribute to this in our own way, right? But when it comes to what the county government and whatever government's supposed to be doing, we're paying our taxes, we expect some services. some public services.
This was the most. And this is where everybody swims.
Yeah.
Our children. This is Hawaiian Homes. This is the only beachfront Hawaiian Homes owns here on Hawaii Island. They put a raw sewage plant in front of us in the early 60s. They put the pipe a quarter of a mile outside of Puhi Bay where our children swim. This is uncalled for. Unbelievable. I asked Civil Defense to help me at the very get-go because I knew there was 3 spills, and if they were going to put at least some signs in our community near the pumps, at least near the pumps where they're coming out, because I saw how much sewage was coming out. Now, this is what I was told, that the Department of Environmental Management County said because it was a brown water alert, then there's no need for signs. Now, to me, there's a difference between black water and brown water, and it was coming from a closed system. Wastewater treatment made these reports, and they are required by EPA to be within threshold standards, which is a 130. It is uncalled for. This is raw sewage coming out where our children swim. And they said they didn't have to. Brown water, according to the definition, is runoffs from land. That is not in a closed system. So it could be coming down from the mountain, it could be coming down from the rivers, all the debris coming down into our waters, that they cannot stop. But you can contain what's coming out of your sewage pipe. And they have requirements. Anything that comes out from that outfall should be treated. But they actually said it was raw sewage, untreated, 5.9 million gallons. How many people, I took pictures of how many people after the spill, the day after, right next to the pipe, the outfall in Puhi Bay, fishing and swimming. And they didn't even know. So I came down the next day to ask families, did you know that there was a brown water alert and that there was 5.9 million gallons of raw sewage? They said no. And they said, well, they should be putting signs.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't.
We're not going to stop. This just got to be taken care of. Stop passing the buck. All of my friends all day, I've been in the classroom, they've been calling different offices and it keeps getting thrown to another office. We've got to actually do something about it and stop passing the buck.